Let's start. Welcome to Tier 1. Has it started? It has started. There we go. Okay. I promise I know what I'm doing. But welcome to the Tier 1 race. I'm not muted, Ollie. Are you proud of me? I've managed to remember.
I'm very proud.
Welcome to Tier 1 for Round 5, the final race of this weekend for our most competitive tier yet. Woohoo sound. Yeah, hello, Skyzer. So we will find ourselves at Netherlands now, at Zandvoort, for the race. Clear skies throughout. We've got ourselves a grid of 11 drivers, with one reserve driver with Red Bull today. Unfortunately, our current contenders for the championship, McLaren, have lost both of their full-time drivers for this weekend. So we have a reserve driver for McLaren, Gorgo, who is filling in for Maverick. But our current championship defender, I believe, I think JP's in first place, Ollie, if I'm not mistaken, is unfortunately not with us today. But before we get on with qualifying, as we are now waiting for the drivers to come out, I'd like to remind you all we are affiliated with Rogue Energy. Use code PHX for 10% off at your checkout. At checkout for 10% off your order. There we go. I got the words out my mouth right. But yeah, here we go. Waiting for qualifying.
So currently in the lead of Drivers' Championship is Shanae with 104 points.
Oh yeah, it's Shanae. I forgot Shanae's in the lead.
Yep. And then behind them it's Commence and then JP, both on 55 and 53 respectively. And Mav is then fourth, joint with JP on 53.
Where's the McLaren in the constructors then?
Second.
Second, currently. Okay, there we go. So the current second place contenders for constructors aren't here at all.
Yep.
With only one reserve driver to try and score as many points as possible.
Yeah, and they are currently 24 points behind Alpine with the roster of Shanae and Gustav.
So now we just get to chill here. There we go. I think that's Ferrari. First driver to come out, I believe, is Imogen. Let's get ourselves some of these details up on the map. So get ready for Zandvoort as the drivers now start to make their way onto the track to start their hot laps. I am joined again by Ollie for the co-commentating for Tier 1, and then we have the best person in the world for commentating. We have Kevin Sadface, aka Kevin Happyface as well, to join us for the commentating today. I missed you, Kevin. Where have you been? How have you been this weekend? The loudmouth, yes, you are. Too much time facing. I mean, you did quite well. You got, what was it, 6th place or 8th place, something like that. Still strong in the points for ACC yesterday. Still a good race for the Green Mean Racing Machine. As we now see Imogen starting the first hot lap of the session. We had a previous best in Tier 2 of a 110.7, if I remember correctly. And in Tier 3, previous best in qualifying was a 110.469 by Dante. So let's see what our Tier 1 drivers can do. No assists are enabled. All assists are restricted to off. The only thing that drivers can control is if they want to have suggested gear or not for the manual gearing. Let's see, Shanae going into the second sector now. This is a track that the curbs will la spinala you. I kind of find it hilarious because we're spectating a Ferrari yet again when I say that. But yeah, no, these curbs are quite deadly. You have to be extremely cautious with how you hit the throttle, as we see Imogen almost losing the back end coming out of that corner there. It is a track with a lot of banked corners, so again, you don't need a curb, but it will spin you as he sets a 1:11.4. Very good first lap of the day for qualifying here at Zandvoort. Next across the line, I believe, is Zoltz across the line. A 1:12.06. Just behind him is a Mercedes. I believe that's going to be Zach coming around the final corner. Now approaching the line. Possibly a 1:12, a 1:13.1 for the McLaren driver next across the line as Red Bull queens up. And finally, I think that's Shanae with a 1:11.1. There we go. I honestly, if Shanae hit a 1:09, I would retire entirely. I give up with F1. He clearly just is the GOAT. But yeah, no, the banked curve, the banked corners, and the curves are extremely deadly on this track. Both to your car losing control, but then also just the banked corners are a huge killer to your tires. Your tires will fall off a cliff quite dramatically at this circuit. And as we found out for Tier 2, for example, as Gusta now puts in a lap for third place, a 1:11.5, and that's a Gorgo, unfortunately, finds himself sideways. As we found out in Tier 2, what was I saying? I've lost my train of thought now. Oh, they sent help.
Unfortunately, I can't help.
What was I just talking about? I've honestly forgotten what I was just talking about.
Tier 2 race. Or Tier 2 qualifying, I think.
Whatever it was, it clearly wasn't important because I've completely forgotten what it was. God, it's gonna stop me for a while now. What did I say? Yeah, it didn't take much for me to get distracted, yeah. As we see the Mercedes losing his front wing coming into the pits. I think trying to slow down in time for the pit limiter line.
Yeah, as Kevin said earlier in chat, Mav and JP are missing out on all the racing this weekend. It has been very good here at Zandvoort. A thrill to watch.
What, good that they're not here for the races?
The races have been good.
No, don't lie. You like the no competition for Tier 2. Tier 2, Tier 4. Gravy is a reserve driver, and because there was from all the seats that were available, Red Bull and Haas had one space open that had nothing in it. No reserve was requested, so I've approved it as a one race to throw in. I think Gravy's done 2 races with us so far, 1 or 2 races with us so far, and has proved to be a very quick driver, as he puts in a sub-11 lap to prove my point exactly. So Gravy now with the fastest lap, a 1:10.962. No, I know you're the open seat. I just or the TP. Sorry, I just meant we were trying to get everyone into the seats because unfortunately I was a bit late, so the lobby was a bit late. Yeah, it's his Discord name is also Gravy. Hi Matty, welcome to the Phoenix Discord. I would welcome you, but unfortunately I am currently commentating with Ollie and Kevin, our Tier 1 race. But welcome nonetheless to Phoenix. And welcome to watching Tier 1, our most competitive F1 2022 tier, where all of our drivers have no assist. I really feel like Shanae is going to have some actual competition now with Gravy setting the first sub 1:11 lap.
Yeah.
I just like how perfectly timed that lap was when I was talking about who he was.
It was perfect timing. But yeah, it's going to be very, very spicy.
Well, I think Shanae is warming up his tyres for a second run. Fresh softs for the Alpine driver. Every driver has the option to choose how many tyres he wants to start off. You can start with just 2 soft tyres, 3 soft tyres, or a full selection of 4 soft tyres for qualifying. Generally speaking, you'd probably want to stay with the 4 soft tyres. So you have 4 runs, 4 clean runs to try and do qualifying, as we watched with Shanae going into the first corner. Very careful, very close to that first curb, almost kissing it. Definitely has a kiss of death, that curb. Plenty of drivers have touched it and gone spinning. I myself has managed to get beached on it as well. Phoenix is not an Xbox League, but we do offer crossplay. Crossplay is enabled for our F122 races, so you will be able to participate in our races. So unfortunately we have a yellow flag for Zach just ahead, fortunately getting out of the way for Shanae, currently on a hot lap going through into Sector 2. Shanae, let's see what you can do, approaching the second DRS straight, with 40% still left in the bank. In the tank. With a 0.2 of a second improvement. Currently not good enough, though, to take pole. What can he do in this third sector? Still got 30% ERS as he comes through into the final few corners, 13 and 14 round the banker. I want to say 35 degrees is the banking on that final corner, but here he comes across the line. A sub 110. He's in fact 6/1000ths of a second. No, wait, Imogen is 6/1000ths of a second off of Gravy. Shanae is... what is that? 14,000ths of a second off of Gravy. 3 drivers all within less than half a tenth of one another, competing for first place. Shanae losing out on provisional pole so far. What is going on? Shanae has properly got some competition today. Someone is competing with Shanae, and I am stunned. I think if Gusta manages to pull the ultimate team game like they did at Brazil for the dry qualifying we had just before... was that just before the season break? Brazil?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think if... unfortunately, Shanae has left the session. Let's see if we can try and get him an invite to join back. Connection issues with F121 is perfect. I don't know what you're on about. No, but Shanae and Gusta had perfect team orders at Brazil, where Gusta was giving his teammate a tow down the main straight for their lap. So hopefully, if we can get Shanae back into the lobby with 7 minutes left, we can have some team orders to give the #1 driver a tow down the main straight, and perhaps, crucially, giving him that front row position for the race. Yeah, no, I don't know what to say. At this point, I'm having to ramble because I can't work out what's happened. Shanae was like... to all of us, Shanae was the best in Tier 1. There were always contenders, but he was always the one to come out on top. But now Shanae finds himself third. I'm stunned. In fact, yeah, I'm stunned. And there goes... oh my god, Gravy with a new fastest lap. 0.3 improvement. Gravy with a 1:10.632, smashing his previous best. 6.5 minutes remaining. Will we see Shanae or Imogen come out of the pits for a fresh set of tyres, get out on track, and beat that time? That is insane. This Gravy is just Gravy. I don't know where I'm going with that. That was a terrible attempt of a joke, but honestly, I'm speechless.
We forgive you.
Have we managed to get Shanae back into the lobby?
I don't have him on Steam, unfortunately.
And see if I can get him in quickly. Friends. EA at its finest can do things properly. Right, you joined back? I've sent him an invite, hopefully he'll get it.
Yep.
Let's just see Gravy going into the pits. Gravy, I think, has done two laps now on 2 fresh sets of softs, and the second set is what set him a new fastest lap. So he's got potentially 2 more sets of softs in the pits for him to use. I feel like I'm going to see him come out and do another stop. Is it a little choppy? Or is it actually smooth?
Looks smooth for me.
Shall we try and get Shanae in here again? Sent you an invite again, Shanae, but I don't think I can invite you. I think it has to be suffocating, because it has to be Ollie, because he's the one who's hosting the Steam side of things.
Yeah, my friend code is in the attendance channel on Discord.
Here we go, as we see Commence now. I think Commence is coming into the pits. Let's see. I thought we were going to have more contenders for pole position. Commence is currently sitting 2/10 off of Shanae's best lap, sitting in 4th place, the Haas driver. To my surprise, but actually also not to my surprise, Snatch, the current newly signed Aston Martin driver, finds himself still located in the pits. I suspect doing a last to first attempt at Zandvoort. He is seemingly the type of driver to try and do that, as unfortunately we see that we have lost Zach coming out of the 2nd sector into the 3rd sector. Has unfortunately lost control of the car, I believe, coming out of the corner, as Kudos puts in the fastest first sector. Are we going to have a second Ferrari driver, as Shanae now finally is able to join back into the lobby? Welcome back. Do let me know if it is choppy. I mean, my preview on OBS is that it is choppy, but then whenever I watch back the replay after the stream, it doesn't look choppy. So I don't know what OBS is doing, to be honest. It could just be unhappy with me previewing the same thing twice. But here we go, as Kudos now rounds the final corner. DRS wide open, down to the line. Puts in a 1:11.2, unfortunately not enough to improve his position. Still remains in 6th place. But still a good lap improvement. He now finds himself 4/100ths of a second behind Gusta, the 2nd Alpine driver, who we have coming out. We've got Snatch finally coming out of the pits. He's actually going to put in a lap. Let's see what Snatch can do. Snatch is definitely someone to keep an eye on. He is a very quick driver. We've had him race in our 2020 league, 21 league as well, and obviously now our 22 league. A very fast driver throughout. I can never seem to catch him in 21. Obviously, this is a very different game, but it's just a matter of he has raw pace. He can really, like, he knows what he's doing, is what I'm trying to say, but I'm not saying very easily.
There's just under 2 minutes left of qualifying, so this will most likely be everyone's final lap.
We've got Imogen and Gravy out on our outlap, sorry. Shanae has not come out. And unfortunately, Snatch has invalidated his outlap, that's fine. I would have expected Shanae to come out for another lap, to be honest. And have the team orders of helping one another, but I guess, perhaps, he wants to save the soft tyres. It's not the stream? Okay, cool. As we see Snatch now start his first hot lap of the qualifying session. In the final minute of the session, what can we see the Alpine driver do? As we now see him going through the first banking left-hander. Very sharp left-hander. It's always really annoying. Cars are a bit jumpy. Yeah, I don't know what to do about it. I mean, I've even turned down the settings on my end, but that shouldn't be the case. What I'll do is I'll have a go at looking at the settings. If I can restart it, if I can change the graphic settings before the race, I'll do that. Otherwise, oh well. I can't do much about it. F122 is beautiful at its best. Purple sector indeed. Snatch is absolutely storming through the track into the third sector. Purple middle sector as well. Are we going to see an Aston Martin on the front row as we see Snatch now coming round turn 13 into turn 14, the final corner, down towards the straight, DRS wide open, down to the line. Snatch with a 110.7, unfortunately not quick enough for first. but somehow still set a final fastest sector. What on earth? One lap wonder indeed, but clearly not fast enough. Even though he got the purple for middle and fast sector, fortunately he finds himself still 9/10 behind Gravy in first place. Imogen, I do not believe, is on a hot lap. No, not at all. Commence also is on a hot lap, currently 1/10 up on his previous best. Now just under half a tenth on his previous best, almost losing the tyre. There's an Alpine driver backwards. Gusta, unfortunately, retired from the session after a collision coming out the corner. Fortunately, they're putting in a lap. Gorgo also retiring from the session. As we see Commence now coming to the line. Slight improvement from his previous best, but remains in 5th place. I think the only other two drivers on track are currently just doing a in-lap. Don't think Snatch is on a hot lap again. No, he's not using any ERS, and I don't think Imogen is. No, he's in 8th gear. As we see a beautiful closing scene, I guess, of Snatch spinning across the line.
Nah.
Beautiful. Thank you, Snatch. And there comes Imogen across the line. Gravy, I'm speechless by the lap that he put in.
Absolutely.
Sinead, who's, as you mentioned before, is currently top of the charts for the Drivers' Championship, and Gravy comes out of left field and just steals pole position from Sinead. 1 second splitting the top 10, not even 1 second, 7/10 splitting the top 7 drivers on this grid today. I'm looking forward to this race. The strategies are going to be interesting to see what people go for. I would love to see if someone pulls off what Ghost Rider did and be the only driver to start on the hard compound tyres as they did in Tier 2 and finish the race then on those mediums. The much faster tyre, which although does wear down a lot quicker than the hards, but is also to a degree faster.
Yep. Of course, he didn't finish on the mediums. He opted to switch to the softs to try and steal the fastest lap in the last 2
laps, which he managed to successfully do, which was quite impressive. As we now wait for us to start the grid, mind you all, we are affiliated with Rogue Energy. Use code PHX at checkout for 10% off of your order. I was hoping that would be perfectly timed for us to get onto the grid, but I guess we're still waiting. So, how's everyone doing today on this Sunday evening? I know I'm cold, but I've done everything I can do to warm up. How's everyone else doing now? Ollie, how are you doing?
Cold as well. I've got a hoodie on and a blanket.
But you've had a great weekend. It was your birthday yesterday.
It was.
I bet you had a fun time.
Yeah. Yeah, I had to race in Tier 3 in the evening. That was a
with 19
race.
drivers.
No, absolutely insane. A lot of carnage.
Well, carnage.
Yeah,
well, you got good points for the team.
Yeah.
At least you got points, alright? I finished, what was it, 14th or 13th?
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry, Vin. I'm the same, Vin. I'm annoyed the weekend's over, but then again, I'm also glad that the weekend's over because I've got stuff I want to do during the week that I'm excited for. Did you have fun buying appliances yesterday, Kevin? Because I missed out on a good teammate for Tier 3. I'm quite upset that my newly signed Tier 3 driver for Williams wasn't there to race with me. Because he was too busy buying appliances. Did you at least buy a toaster? You know, the fancy toaster with 4 toaster slices. I actually really want to buy that. I don't have toast that often, but...
Hey, none of that 1-2 talk.
Nah, we're going to get 1-2. Kevin and I are with a god duo.
Oh, yeah.
Yesterday was a fun day. Why was yesterday a fun day for you? Cthulhu, how... I don't understand people like you. I don't understand how people can sleep for that long. I wish I could do that. Look at you buying a chest freezer and a mini fridge. Please tell me the mini fridge is for where your office is, where your desk is. just, race, grab yourself a nice bottle of water, or if you're chilling and watching a film, well, actually, you would watch a film in the living room. But still. Just reach it. ACC break, go in the pits, change the tyres, grab yourself a bottle of water, rehydrate. Ah, sucks to hear, Phil. I hope you're feeling better soon, mate. Waking up in the night when you're trying to get a good night's rest, as we see, I think, is that Shanae? Yeah, Shanae's tried to warm up his tyres. He's warmed them up in a very special manner. I actually quite like that manner of trying to do donuts on the track. But yeah, no, I know the struggles of not having enough sleep because you just wake up randomly in the night or randomly in the morning. As we see, I think Queen's up doing the same thing, trying to warm up his tyres. God, people have some interesting techniques to warming up their tyres. I quite like it.
Yeah.
Are we going to see anyone try and angle their cars? I think some people have... I think Zolt has angled his car slightly to the outside. Everyone else has angled it forwards. But here we go. 5 red lights. Let's stay on board with Gravy. Sitting on pole position. 5 red lights. And away they go. Brilliant start. Snatch unable to get a brilliant exit. Managing to maintain his second place, though. As Imogen... Isaac, we have a spinner with Shanae spun around as well. I think Shanae touched the curb, unfortunately. Will be him down into last place now. Hopefully he has no damage from that incident. We have Commence as well going into the grass. Went lawn mowing for a moment there into corner 4 and 5. Gravy finds himself still in first place. Snatch into second. Imogen in third. Gusta promoted up to fourth place. Kudus up into 5th. Just behind... Oh, there's so much happening. Gorgo, I think, came out the corner quite unsteady, giving the position to Queens up just behind him. And then Zach, there comes Shanae drifting around the corner. I think his tyres are slightly hot starting on those hard compound tyres. That's what I didn't do during the formation lap. What tyres did our driver start on? A lot of medium and hards. We got a lot of competing strategies for this race. It'll be interesting to see who comes out on top, as we saw Ghost Rider manage to go about 20 laps on those hard compound tyres before having to pit, as Commence is now the first driver, unfortunately, to receive a time penalty for track limits. In fact, the first driver this Sunday evening to receive a track limits warning. Track limits penalty. As in Tier 2 and in Tier 3 it was... Tier 3 it was track limits, but Tier 2 was mostly speeding in the pits. And again, Commence to add on top of it. Goes into the pits speeding. Unfortunately, that will be it for Commence for this race at Zandvoort for round 5. As we go into the second sector now for the second lap at Zandvoort, Gravy maintains the lead. In fact, almost has a second gap to the car behind him. Snatch in second place. If we have a look at the position changes now into the second lap, we've got Zolt with the most positions gained, starting from 10th place now up into 7th place. As Zolt, what's happened to Zolt? Zolt has had a spin, so now Zolt finds himself back into 10th place, and now Zach finds himself up 3 places into 8th place. What is going on? A lot of drivers, unfortunately, spinning on this track, but as I mentioned, it is a very tricky track. The curbs will get you, the banked corners will get you, everything is out to get you, as Gravy puts in the new fast lap with a 1.2 second lead to the driver behind him, as now DRS is enabled, crossing the line to start the third lap. God, 3 laps in, we've had enough excitement to unfortunately have lost 1 driver and have 2 go spinning. Shanae finds himself now up into 7th place, capitalizing. Oh my God, Shanae, no! As I switch to spectator to him, unfortunately comes spinning into the 5th or 4th corner there. Sorry, Shanae. He's definitely a driver to be able to get over this, though. He's a very quick driver. We've seen him win races time and time again. He's got 3 Grand Slams under his belt, so he's clearly shown off that he's got the pace for this. Let's just hope his tyres can cool down quick enough for him to then catch up to the drivers ahead. Don't want to lose too much time on this track. It is a difficult track to overtake. We've seen drivers before, as he spins again, overheating rears. We did have Trexie in Tier 2, have difficulty overtaking Mousy the Cheese ahead of him. Fortunately, though, about halfway through the race, it got to a point where it was just a matter of attrition. Stay as clean as you can and wait for the driver ahead to make a mistake. And unfortunately, that results also having a spinner in the second sector. Now with Gravy going into that very deep left-hander, banker of a left-hander corner, now almost 2 seconds, a second and a half ahead of Snatch. Very strong start for the Red Bull, reserve Red Bull driver. Let's see, Gorgo currently 0.4 behind of Zach. Both, I believe, running the medium tyres. Let's have a look. Nope, Gorgo with the medium and Zach with the hard compound tyres. Let's see if Gorgo can use those mediums to his advantage in these early laps whilst he has the pace advantage. Minor pace advantage, but still a pace advantage nonetheless to capitalize on that and overtake the driver ahead. But to my surprise, we're approaching lap 5 now, and already we only have one battle on the grid now. And that's Gorgo within half a second of Zach ahead of him. He will have DRS again, yet no one else on the grid will have DRS enabled on the main straight. This has gotten quiet very quickly, this race. I don't know how I feel about this. Here he goes with the DRS, following as close as behind. He's deploying that DRS. He's got the pace. He goes for the outside move into the first corner. We've seen time and time again, going around the outside can be tricky, but he manages to make it work almost side by side into the second sector. And they have collided, I think. Zach's out, and I'm trying to work out what happened there. Gorgo was on the outside. He definitely was entitled to space there in that situation. He was catching, and he was ahead into the braking zone, but unfortunately, I think not enough space was left for the two drivers into the second sector. As I have mentioned before, it is a very difficult track to overtake. It is very difficult to go side by side through a lot of these corners. You have to be very careful, very surgical with how you attack the drivers ahead of you. And unfortunately, this surgery wasn't as successful as we were hoping, and has resulted in the loss of Zach, the only Mercedes driver on the grid, and the reserve driver for McLaren, losing his front wing. Very unfortunate so far, but there are 8 drivers left on the grid for this race. So that is 8 drivers still able to secure points and walk away with points, crucial to their constructors or drivers championship alike. So we see Gorgo now coming around the final corner and into the pits to grab himself a fresh front wing and himself a new set of tyres. I would assume pitting onto the hard compound tyres, to try and revive? No, come back from that unfortunate incident, as Shanae now finds himself up into 7th place. Unfortunately, though, Shanae is 32 seconds behind the rest of the group ahead of him. But pit stops have a huge control on the how this race will swing, so I'm definitely interested to see what will happen as we go on.
Yep. And there's
As Gusta has retired. What's happened to Gusta coming out of... let's have a look here. He is in the middle of the track. I think he was coming out of the corner, or into the final corner, into turn 14. The massive right-hander, and has lost his car into the wall. That is the Alpine driver out of the session. Now, 7 laps in, 7 drivers remaining. Sorry, Ollie, what are you trying to say?
Shanae has spun again.
This is definitely a weekend to forget for Alpine, unfortunately. What is Shanae's gap to second place in the Drivers' Championship?
It is... There is a 99-point gap.
99-point gap?
Never mind.
That can't be right.
5th... No. Yeah, no. Yeah, 59
Okay, there we go,
0.199.
59. Okay, so Sinead does have enough of a blanket that he doesn't have to win every race to the end of the season, but it definitely will be a weekend to forget. Unfortunately, he had quite a spinner into the first corner, which lost him the fighting chance for first place, though finding himself 50 seconds behind on those hard compound tyres. I think Shanae, if anyone can come back from a rough start of the race, I think Shanae's the driver to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, as long as he can finish, he's still in the points position.
Yeah,
So it's still points nonetheless. Any point counts.
I don't think he'll be one to voluntarily quit out so early. I
No.
think he'll still stick through this. He's got 24 laps remaining, if I can do my maths right, or 28 laps remaining, something like that. 28 laps
28, yeah.
before the race is done. Yeah, it is a nightmare, Katie. It's tier 1, and I don't think in tier 1 we've had this many DNFs in one race. Honestly, I don't recall another tier 1 race with this many DNFs. Oh, the Ports channel I think is going to be absolutely on fire for us to review on Tuesday. I'm not looking forward to Tuesday now. I
Nah.
knew after tier 3 it was going to be chaotic. We had 19 drivers on the grid for tier 3. And, well, that's tier 3. 19 drivers for that is going to be terrifying. But with
Yeah.
now 4 drivers out of the race, I think one of them will be. I think of the 4 DNFs so far tonight, I think Commence. There's no report for that. He voluntarily went to the pits and retired. Gusta unfortunately lost. From what we saw, unfortunately, we weren't spectating him. It did look like he just had a bit of a spinner going into the final couple corners and found himself into the wall. However, for Zach and Zolt, I don't know what happened to Zolt, actually. Zach, we had almost had the racing perspective of this. But for Zolt, we didn't see anything. I'm actually curious to know what happened to Zolt's. Yeah, at this point, it is a race of 5 people, but we'll have to see. Shanae seemingly has managed to grab control of his car and is grabbing the rhythm and is now catching to the driver ahead of him, but we'll have to see. As we go slightly ahead, Gravy still with that near 2-second gap to snatch behind him. In fact, approaching, is he approaching to Shanae already? He is
Yep.
approaching to Shanae already. Shanae is so close to being lapped in this race. Definitely a weekend to be forgotten. 25 laps is a very long time. I never thought I'd see Shanae get lapped ever. I don't know what happened. If this is, I'm speechless. Guess Kevin, we need to sub you in.
Just still look like Shanae's just struggling with his tyres a little bit.
Oh, he's ghosted again.
I think he's being blue
Oh, he's
flagged.
being lapped. Yeah. Yeah, he's struggling with the tires. I just went on board with him, and he's already. I think his rears are just completely on fire. Unfortunately, uh I just, I mean, I'm waiting for it. Shanae's going to finish the race in P2 somehow. He's going to do it. He's the man to do it. But like, yeah, it's fine. Let's not look at Shanae anymore. Let's let him focus. No commentator's curse or anything. Let's just see what happens. We still have the pit window opening up soon, as Gravy now crosses the line to start the 11th lap of the race. Pit window for the medium tyres opens up between 11 to 15, whilst the hard compound tyres open from 13 to lap 17. So it'll be interesting to see how the drivers push their tyres and how far they're willing to go on those tyres before they want to pull the trigger and pit for a new set of tyres.
Yep.
Gravy now 2 seconds ahead, gone.
Could we see some risky strategy choices?
What, like 2 stoppers, go for the soft?
Yeah, maybe.
I'd be interested. I think it'll be interesting to see how the strategy pays off for Snatch and for Gravy. We've seen Gravy already put in absolute stonking laps in qualifying, and so far has managed to pull out 2 seconds ahead of hi Dante, 2 seconds ahead of Snatch, but he is on those mediums, which after this lap will slowly start to drop off a cliff. So when will Gravy pull the trigger to go for those hard compound tyres, which will, over the course of any lap, any track, hards will just always be slower than mediums. So I want to know who's going to come out on top, who's going to come out with the better strategy.
Yep, because Snatch has definitely gained in the last half a lap or so, cutting it down from about 2 seconds to 1.6.
So we'll definitely have one fight on our hands for the pit strategies. I think the two Ferraris are on alternate strategies, which is always good to see. It is always good to see teammates on alternate strategies, otherwise you might have a situation like I've seen other drivers have in previous tiers, in other tiers, or in previous races, where you then try and work out who's got the better tyres and who's willing to sacrifice themselves to stay out for an extra lap. Because a double stop, unfortunately, in this game, your pit crew can't just sit there and wait for you. They have to come out, pit your first driver, then run back into the pit box and grab a fresh set of tyres. Which I guess happens in real life, but in real life they actually have the tyres stacked and ready for the double stop. So, game's perfect. As we now approach the line again for the 13th lap of this race. Snatch now 1.5 seconds. Snatch with the fast lap. Snatch is pushing those tyres now. It is that pit window time for those medium runners. So I guess Snatch has made the decision to push. He's doing a Perez, I feel like. Just hanging back, enjoying the tyres, and then right when you think those tyres are dead, no, you're wrong. Those tyres are alive. Those tyres are ready to be fired up and pushed to the limit.
Yeah. Be very interesting to see as the race goes on.
And Snatch with double the ERS as well compared to Gravy ahead of him. 1.3 seconds splitting the two drivers. Are we going to see a battle now as Gravy comes towards Grogo to be lapped? Gravy with the DRS as well. That is going to help for certain down that second straight. Unfortunately, I think if he's going to have DRS, he wants that DRS on the second straight. On the second straight, on the first straight, the pit straight. As that will definitely help. Now Snatch almost within a second, almost within DRS range of Gravy. This is going to be...
Snatch is about to take another fastest lap as well.
This is going to be an interesting lap indeed. He's going to take that fast lap. Or he's not. 6,000ths. I can't speak English or do maths. 6,000ths off of a second off of beating his previous best.
Wow.
But he is pushed enough that I think by the time they come round to that pit, let's take a breath. By the time they come back to that pit straight, I think Snatch will be within that 1 second range to grab that DRS from Gravy ahead of him. So the fastest lap will be broken again, I believe.
Yeah.
Quite comfortably before the first pit window opens up, or the first driver pulls the trigger and pits for their new set of tyres.
Yeah, I'm noticing that Snatch seems to gain a lot of time in the middle sector on Gravy.
Yes, and he's now within a sec. He's now 9/10ths behind. Is he going to maintain that gap into the second DRS zone across the DRS detection zone? Gravy goes through. There goes Snatch. Snatch will have DRS now on the main straight. Snatch 8/10ths behind. He is pushing and pushing. He's got plenty of ERS. He is certainly not close enough to overtake just yet, but is now in fighting range to consistently get that DRS and consistently push his way forwards to the lead of this race. Half a second back now and a new fastest lap as well. This is what I mean. I think Aston Martin have got an incredibly and scary strong lineup for Tier 1. And I think if we see the duo of Marcus Rashford and Snatch on a grid, on the track, that's the word I'm looking for, on the track, it will be terrifying to see the strategies they come up with, because they work really well in hand. As much as I don't like racing them because they are incredibly quick drivers, I also have to give it to them because they are incredibly good and clean drivers. They work really well hand in hand, helping each other and push the limit of every track they race on. Now, as they approach the final couple corners, Snatch finds himself less than half a second behind Gravy. He's going to have DRS yet again, and will find himself close enough to potentially go for an overtake as Gravy now goes into the pits. Gravy is done with those medium compound tyres. Snatch now inherits the lead of the race. That's it. Gravy's pulled the trigger. He is on those hard compound tyres. Can Snatch put in a stellar few laps on those hard compound tyres and maintain a gap ahead of Gravy to still keep that lead of the race? We will see. Zach, welcome to the stream. What happened to you? I saw Gorgo go for the overtake, and then I didn't see what happened afterwards. I just saw that you two had collided, unfortunately. Let's see now. Let's put the intervals to leader. We've got Gravy sitting 20 seconds behind Snatch on those fresh, hard compound tyres now, and that means that confirms what I was estimating. Around 20 seconds per lap is lost when you go into the pits. So I don't think he's going to pit now. His tyres definitely will survive for at least another 5 laps, without a doubt. But let's see what happens. When will Snatch pull the trigger, grab himself those fresh, medium tyres, which will have a significant advantage over Gravy's hard tyres.
Yep.
Yeah, Zach, I saw that you guys were going side by side. I haven't looked at the incident report just yet, but I saw you guys were going side by side through a lot of the corners. You managed to get through, I think it was basically the entirety of first sector side by side before there was a collision between you two, which is quite unfortunate to see. I was looking forward to that fight. You guys seem to be proper head-to-head contenders for each other, as Kudos has had enough of those medium tyres. Finds himself into the pits. Let's see which Ferrari strategy comes out on top. Let's just hope Ferrari gets the strategy done right today. I mean, who wouldn't love to see a Ferrari on top and get the strategy right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But let's see, Kudos now 43 seconds behind, 30 seconds behind his teammate, so clear of his teammate. But let's see if he can cut that time down. Gravy, crucially, is still just over that 20-second gap for Snatch ahead of him. Those hard compound tyres surely would be fired up by now, as he does set the purple middle sector of the race. So we will see now Snatch going through. I reckon from the race we had with Tier 2, he's going to go around 20 laps. There goes Gravy with a new fast lap of 1:13.9. I think Snatch is going to go around 20 laps before he pits for those fresh mediums to finish the race on. What do you think, Ollie?
Yeah, definitely. And come the end of the race, I think Snatch is going to be suffering with tyre deg, but between him pitting and the end of the lap, he'll have much quicker tyres.
Indeed. Trexie, what happened to Shanae? On the first lap, unfortunately, Shanae, I think what had happened was he had touched the inside curb on the first corner, which just kind of sends your car into a boomerang into the wall. Fortunately, he managed to keep his car out of the wall, but does find himself in last place. Was it commence? Well, we'll have to see. Snatch putting in the new fastest lap. Okay, Snatch. He is properly pushing. He is... I think... Dare I say, but I think Snatch might have this one. We'll have to see how the strategies pan out.
Yeah.
I'd be interested to see what happened. I think... That's the thing. Although I say Shanae might have touched the inside curb, he is a very good driver. I've seen him race time and time again. So for him to touch the inside curb, I know is possible. But I can't imagine of it all the drivers on the grid today for him to do that or him to make that mistake. So I'm definitely interested to see if there is a report from either Commence or from Shanae to see what happened. It's like I said as well earlier. I think Ollie, you said 59 points or 50 something points, splitting Shanae to the driver behind him. So he's got enough of a cushion to fall back on but he can't have many more races like this. He's only got 3 races left to try and secure that Drivers' Championship.
Yeah,
As we see Snatch
59
cross the line
points.
again with another fastest lap.
Wow. Yeah, a 59-point gap, not the 99 I said before. My math's failing me.
I was going to say 99 would mean he's won the championship now after this race.
Oh yeah, yeah, it would.
19. No, actually no. 19. Even 99, it would only win if he maintained a 105-point gap.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, my maths failed me a bit there.
Who is in second place again?
That would be Commence.
And then JP in third.
Yeah, tied with Maverick in fourth.
Well, let's hope that we'll have the 2 McLaren drivers back for Portugal next week. I definitely look forward to Portugal next week. Because it's a sprint race weekend as well, so who doesn't love a sprint race? I mean, I understand some people's frustration of the sprint race. You know, you go to watch a Grand Prix, you go watch the qualifying, and you have Q1, Q2, Q3, only to then set up the grid for a sprint race, a 100-kilometer race, where essentially all the faster drivers will be given the advantage to make up on their mistakes in qualifying for them to regain the positions that they want for the actual race. So I can understand the frustration of the sprint race, but it's also a format of the race where you need to be careful. Although you may qualify, let's say 7th, you ideally want to finish 2nd, you still have to work and race carefully. It's a matter of controlling the car, not pushing the car in a sprint race. Because if you lose it in a sprint race, yeah, you get to race still, but you've lost out on those extra points and the extra positions you can gain.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I'm excited for the sprint race, though I do understand some people's frustration for it. And no, Trexie, I'm not a math teacher. I did try and do that. I used to do it for my nephews and nieces, but no, I'm not a math tutor. Best I can do is tell you that 1 + 1 = a window. That's your lesson. Good night.
Great lesson.
Snatch now coming around the final corner. His tyres are 20 laps old. He's just gonna keep going.
I really thought he was gonna pit.
I thought so too as well. Imogen now 13 seconds behind. Are we going to see Imogen go in the pits? No, Imogen's not going to go in the pits either. First and second place still to go in the pits. Gravy finds himself still 21 seconds behind first place. As we see Gorgo, the reserve McLaren driver from Maverick, finds himself in the pits now for tonight. And for the race. You know what? For tonight, we'll stick with that. There
The
we
gap
go.
still between Snatch and Gravy is 21 seconds.
I think Snatch has been pushing it consistently, setting back-to-back fastest laps. So I think the only way Gravy's going to be able to come back and fight this comfortably is one of two things. Snatch gets a penalty, Snatch speeds in the pit lane, or Snatch gets his turn in for the pit stop wrong, which is very difficult to do because it's quite simple to do. But I think that's the only 3 things that might contest his ability to win this race. Other than that, and other than driver error, as he goes on for another lap on those, I think he's going to go for softs at the end.
The gap between Snatch and Gravy has also increased to 28 seconds. So maybe Gravy had a moment coming out of one of the corners.
Potentially, is now Imogen has had enough of those hard combat tyres, goes in for those medium tyres. I think Snatch potentially, because of that massive gap behind him, he's going to go and try and finish on the softs. I'll be interested to see if he does that.
Yeah, it would be absolutely incredible.
Gravy now finds himself back up into P2, unfortunately, qualifying first with an absolute stonking lap. His strategy so far has not paid off. Finds himself nearly 30 seconds behind Snatch, who is still yet to pit. And each pit, every time a driver pits, they lose on average around 20 seconds per lap. 20 seconds per lap, 20 seconds in that lap, on their out lap from the pits. as we see Shanae. Oh my god, I don't like seeing Shanae get lapped. It pains my heart to see Shanae get lapped.
The Snatch is going into the
Kevin.
pits.
Oh, there we go. Snatch has done it. What's he going for? I can't see what tyres. Those are mediums. Okay,
Mediums,
yeah, he's
yep.
going for mediums. Okay, then if anything, his tyres were on the brink of puncture, so he's not going to risk going for the softs for 12 laps, which is understandable.
Yep.
But he's going to have those mediums for their perfect length for 12 laps. 12 to 13 laps is the perfect window for pitting those mediums, and he's going to have them for the duration of the race. Finds himself 10 seconds ahead of Gravy. No track limit penalty so far, and he stopped in time for the pit line. So, will we see a fight happen? I was saying we're going to see a fight happen, but I think you might be right, Ollie. I think Gravy might have had a moment on the previous couple laps for him to have lost 9 seconds or 8 seconds. And no, Trexie, I am not a dad. I don't know why you thought of all the questions you could ask me if you wanted to know more about me, that of all the questions you could ask, you would ask if I'm a dad. But yeah, now I was hoping to see a battle of strategies here, but now we've hit that point of, well, let's just see what our drivers can do. As Snatch goes extremely deep on the brakes into the first corner, managing to keep his car under control though, and getting out of the gravel trap as soon as possible. Imogen with a new fast lap of 1:12.6. How much time did Snatch lose there? I can't imagine him losing too much, possibly a second or two at most. As Snatch goes... Oh, what is going on? Ollie?
Yes.
Okay. No, my internet's fine. Snatch went into the gravel trap twice for me, and I was starting to commentate on that. I'm still confused as to what's happening. I think Snatch is having desync problems. Or maybe I am. Can you spectate him for a bit and tell me if you see anything?
Yeah.
Because he's glitching
Yeah,
all over the place for me. I wish I was a real-life racing driver, honestly, Finn. I really do wish I was. I used to do go-karting when I was younger, but that was just, like, no, my real name is not Ziggy. Vin, I used to do go-karting when I was younger, but again, that was like just, you're young, you want to do something fun. But no, as I grew up, it was more, I wanted to do sim racing, actually, because I think Gran Turismo was the first racing game I used to play on the PlayStation 3, I think it was. I also had Crazy Taxi on the PS2, which ignited my enjoyment of being able to drive and go drifting around the corners. But I don't know why, of all games, I went from wanting to drift around corners to F1, where you cannot drift. You go drifting around a corner, that's it, you're gone. You lose all control of your car. Yeah, no, I'm not a real life racing driver. I wish I was. I wish I was getting that money. As what's happened to Snatch? As he's lost 2 seconds to Gravy now.
I think he's definitely suffering with some form of desync. It's on my screen as well.
Or potentially, as we have Queen's up, unfortunately spinning, coming out of the 12th corner, I believe that is. There is Snatch just behind him. Blue flags now for the Red Bull driver. I think potentially Snatch could very easily, because we are on simulation damage. He might have underbody damage. I completely forgot about simulation damage. That is a
maybe.
whole new factor where if Snatch has any kind of damage, it is going to affect him severely in this race. As he maintains that 11-second gap. Never mind. Okay, so the game just said no to any of our ideas.
Yeah, it just suddenly jumped back up.
Alright, thank you, EA. You and Codemasters, you beautiful, beautiful companies. Just sort your game out, please. You need a new PC. Well, I guess it's time to get a job. Time to get saving, I don't know. I guess. I mean, that's what I'm doing. I need to get a new microphone. New microphone and a new keyboard. Because you guys on the stream are going to hear this. And that's loud. So I need a new keyboard. I currently got blue switches underneath this, so... I know from experience when I'm in a call with my friends or my family sometimes, the keyboard is just stupidly loud and no one can hear a thing. Kevin, I hate it. On Discord, I've got Discord crisp on, so you don't hear it. But on stream, there is no Discord crisp, so, You may not leak. Okay, I guess you can't work and check, but I don't know. You may love it, Katie, but can you use it at the moment? I know you're struggling to use your clicky keyboard at the moment. So I bet you wish you had more sensitive keyboards at the moment. So we have a yellow flag. I think that's going to be Queens Up, yeah. Unfortunately, coming into the fifth corner, Queens Up has had a bit of a spinner. Fortunately, though, he has managed to keep his car going, managed to keep his car out of the wall, and finds himself still in 5th place. Shanae, unfortunately, still last place, but 7th place. Still going to be good points for the team. Gusta, unfortunately, DNFing 5 laps into this race, coming out of turn 13, putting himself into the wall as Queens Up, I think, also puts himself in the wall again, losing his front wing. And his tyres, understandably so, are extremely heated. I can't tell if he's... Oh, he's beached it. Oh, no, he's not. Okay, there we go. He's got the car going again.
Interestingly, Imogen is gaining substantially on Gravy.
Indeed he is. Very good catch. Imogen now 1.5 seconds behind Gravy. He does have the tyre advantage. And let's see, between the ERS difference, Gravy does have more. But I think it is a clear indication that the hard medium was definitely the better tyre choice for these drivers. Gravy, I think, would have capitalized a lot better had he done the same strategy as well, but we'll have to see. There are still 7 laps remaining in this race. Anything can happen, anything will happen. As there goes Queens Up into the pits. Gorko, I think, also having a bit of a spinner potentially. I can't quite tell. It was a yellow flag with the 2 drivers there. Missing your old keyboard. I want a more sensitive keyboard, but I want it to be quieter. I don't like how loud this keyboard is. You still have 9 years of school. Oh, God. 9 years of school. Oh, man, I remember the days of going to school. There goes Snatch now, coming out just ahead of Queens Up. Queens now on the soft compound tyre, potentially going to go for that fastest lap. Let's have a look at who has the fastest lap at the moment. Snatch with a 112.2, Queens Up with a 114.9, so he'll need a 2.7 second improvement to fight that fastest lap, as we have Gorgo apparently half a second behind Kudos. Where is Kudos just ahead of him? Is he actually half a second? No, it isn't, because the timing screens are frozen. Thank you, Cody's. Thank you very much. I need a shortcut to thank Cody's on stream, because they can do everything right.
Although it just seems to be frozen for Gorgo, no one else.
Yep, Gorgo is forever at half a second behind Kudos. Gorgo is a stellar driver.
Yep.
Just floating across the track at exactly that time. Who resets track? I don't think Gravy resets track. We'll have to see. We'll have to look at the stream replay. But I think Gravy is fine. I've not seen him spin out just yet. Gorgo, you can see there is a bit of desync trouble between them. Queens Up, you mean? I don't know. We'll have to see the race replay. Unfortunately, though, that if that is a reset on track, that will be a penalty. As per the rulebook, we do try and encourage all of our drivers to read the rulebook, though unfortunately not all of them will always read the rulebook. They rely on their knowledge from previous leagues, which is not advisable, because not every league is the same. Yeah, it sucks, doesn't it? Oh well. Read the rules. You'll know what's happening then. Queens Up into the second sector. Are we going to see them come across the DRS line and finish the second sector with a purple second sector? Are they going to be able to fight that fastest lap? 2.7 seconds is the time that they need to improve by currently not on that lap at the moment.
His Imogen has had a spin.
Imogen on Kudos, 30 seconds behind. Will Imogen be able to... Alright, Imogen's managed to keep out the wall, fortunately. I would assume the only damage he'll have to his car will potentially be any underfloor damage or overheating tyres.
Yep.
To see how that goes. Unfortunately, he was in contention. He was really catching Gravy quite quickly, quite scarily quickly, as we have a yellow flag out for the other Red Bull driver. That's Queen's up, unfortunately, having a spin out the first corner. Yeah, Imogen was definitely on course, on track to be able to fight for second place there. Very unfortunate to see that Imogen had a spin, but it is a Gravy with 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags. I cannot imagine why that would have occurred, because there was no one there. I imagine, if anything, this penalty could potentially be removed. I have no reason why he would have had an ignoring yellow flags, as Snatch also receives now a 3-second time penalty. The first driver, or the only driver on track to have a 3-second time penalty from track limits, I believe. No, Queens Up has it. Okay, so 2 drivers with a track limits penalty. But I'm very confused by the 5-second time penalty. Fortunately, though, Gravy has managed to build up a gap behind him, though to the fault of Imogen unfortunately spinning out. The 5 seconds will not cost him the podium position, but I'm a bit stumped as to how he got the 5 seconds. The only yellow flag he had was for Queens Up spinning, but that's a lapped car. And yes, technically, under yellow flag conditions, you cannot overtake anyone. But it's a blue flagged, yellow flagged car. So, yeah, no, I can't imagine. I can't imagine that being a huge issue for them, anyways.
Yeah, I think since I mentioned Imogen catching up to Gravy, he's just had a few little moments here and there.
The pressure got to him.
Yeah, I saw him catch the car quite a few times coming around some of the corners. Of course, some of the curbs can be absolutely deadly on this track.
Indeed, as Gorgo now pits for the soft compound tyres. Astonishingly, going into the pits and coming out the pits, he is still 4.5 tenths behind Kudos. I don't know how he does it, but his car is teleporting clearly. We are just hallucinating that his car is coming out the pits. He's clearly right on the gearbox of the Ferrari driver ahead of him.
Yep.
As we see the Red Bull of Queens Up now just behind him. Fortunately, that's not Queens Up, that's Gravy. That is Gorgo getting lapped once again, I believe, for... I don't know how many time. Gorgo, 1 minute for us first time. And then Shanae has unfortunately been lapped twice this race, I believe, or coming up to twice this race. I can't really work out the maths in my head. A minute 15 or a minute, yeah, but call it a minute 15 a lap. So yeah, Shanae's been lapped twice, unfortunately.
His Imogen has spun again.
Where is his teammate? His teammate is still a whole sector behind, so I think Imogen will still continue to keep third place with now 1.5 laps remaining, entering the third sector. Sorry, I was yawning.
But I think, like you said, Imogen might have underbody damage.
Considering how he attacks that curb that we just saw him go through, I can't imagine him getting away from that with no underfloor damage at all.
Yeah.
He attacks that curb so aggressively, I would assume his barge board underneath is shredded, understandably so. He's in the pit to grab himself a new set of tyres. Unfortunately, though, Kudos will then inherit third place in this race, I believe, as he's now coming around the final few corners. If we have a look at Imogen, Imogen has come out of the pits. He's got himself the fresh set of softs. Here comes Kudos down the main straight. He will overtake him. Does he stay ahead? He does just about. Imogen now finds himself down into 4th place. Kudos up into 3rd place. I doubt there'll be any team orders here. Kudos has coped brilliantly in this race. He's managed to stick to his one-stop strategy and has kept his car perfectly on the track. Unfortunate to see Imogen has had a few spins now. But he does have that soft compound tyre. He will be able to fight for that fastest lap. If we have a look, Imogen needs to improve by 4/10 on his next lap, on the final lap, in fact, for this race, for fighting that fastest lap. Go on with Snatch. Snatch is actually so close to lapping them as they managed to get out just in time to be able to do that one extra lap to potentially steal the fastest lap from the Aston Martin driver, newly signed Aston Martin driver, might I say, and add that, because this is one hell of a debut race with Aston Martin.
Yeah.
Aston Martin had an unfortunate start to Tier 2, with Panos unfortunately unable to win the race. In fact, Panos, I think, came out 5th, wasn't it? 5th or 4th? There's the team orders. Imogen has been allowed through. I think, in fact, it was less team orders, more he's got the soft tyres. Steal that fastest lap. Are we going to see a Brazil situation where potentially they swap back around and give the position to Kudos, or will Imogen remain in that 3rd place as Snatch now finishes the race crossing the line? Next across the line, Gravy with that 5-second time penalty for ignoring yellow flags for some reason or another. Finally gets served, but fortunately does not lose a position from that race. From that penalty, sorry. Next across the line will be Imogen. Imogen now going through the 2nd sector with a small improvement on his previous best time, I believe. Coming into the middle sector. There we go, a 6/10 improvement in the middle sector on those soft tyres. He is definitely on track to steal that fast lap. Plenty of ERS in the tank. Let's see as he corners the final few corners into the last corner, corner 14. The banked right-hander down towards the main straight. ERS completely dry, sorry. And a 1:11.9 set. And Kudos, his teammate, to cross the line and finish the race. Strong points for Ferrari at the end of that race. Very unfortunate to see Shanae. Honestly, I'm still gobsmacked by the fact that we lost Shanae in that race.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want an interview with Shanae. I will definitely get on the radio. I say on the radio, but I want to know. I want to know what happened. I think so far, from what I can see in the paddock, Comment has apologised to Shanae, so I think potentially there was an incident involving those two drivers. We will have to see in the reports what has happened. In the meantime, that was... what did you guys think of the race? Yeah, click, 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 I get it, it's loud. I tried to do it as quietly as I could.
Great race, in my opinion. And that's now twice today that we've seen someone steal the fastest lap on the last lap.
On the last lap, yeah. Kevin, what did you think of the race? And I think... I think I'm still happy with that race. It was still a very interesting race, and I enjoyed every moment of it, though. Obviously, you know, we had some unfortunate situations. Let's get Shanae in here now whilst we wait for our top 3 if we're going to have an interview. Hopefully we have an interview with them. But Shanae,
Hello.
that was an exciting qualifying. Let's start with that. That was a very exciting qualifying. Top 3 all within about half a tenth or about half a tenth before Gravy puts in a smashing lap. But then what happened in the race? We've unfortunately we didn't get to see the first lap incident for you. What happened? How was that race?
It wasn't good. In quali, I disconnected halfway, so I couldn't improve. But still, very good lap from Gravy, I have to say. And yeah, in the race, unfortunately, Kemens topped me from the back, and I spun, and I get rear wing damage. And then later, I spun with that rear wing damage and got diffuser damage as well. So yeah, I was 3 seconds slower than normal, but still, I managed to keep it on the track, and
So I'll explain why so many instances in that race your rear end kept spinning out because of that lack of downforce.
yeah, in the second stint I lowered the front downforce, so it would match some, so it would balance out a bit. Yeah. So it was better. I was finally doing some pace, but it's still slow.
Fortunate.
Anyway, good job to Snatch and Gravy as well.
Gravy from out of nowhere, honestly. Wasn't expecting those quick laps from him, honestly. But you still come out of this race with points. You entered this race with, I think it was 59 points cushion to the driver behind you. So you still comfortably got another race win for someone else to achieve before you potentially lose the first place position in the drivers championship. Sorry. So are you looking forward to Portugal next week? You excited for that track? Are you not looking forward to racing around Portugal?
Oh yeah, Portugal's gonna be fun.
I assume it's a track you enjoy to race on then.
I don't really know. I'm preparing to spin a lot of times in this like ascending right-hander
Yeah.
in the middle sector. But I think it's pretty enjoyable track.
Well, thank you for the interview. Thank you for racing, and we will see you next week at Portugal. Unfortunately, that is it for our interviews. We haven't got our race winners with us today, but that was still an exciting race. Honestly, I'm looking forward to what we might have in store for us next week at Portugal. So far, preliminary results for the weather is that it's going to be a wet qualifying with a dry race. Qualifying will be interesting if it's wet. Weather for next week will be uploaded and announced tomorrow, so be sure to be on the lookout for that. But until such time, we will see you during the week for some open lobbies or for some fun. If you haven't already, you can join the Discord. The Discord invite link is in the About page, or you can just go to discord.gg/Phoenix Sim Sport. And you can join the server where we will host these sessions, and you'll get notified in the server as well for when we go live. Thank you everyone for joining me. Thank you Kevin and Ollie for joining me in the commentators box. And we will see you next time for F1 2020 on Friday at 1800 UTC. And before we head off, to remind you all, we are affiliated with Rogue Energy. Use code PHX at checkout for 10% off your order. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.